Hello students, through this audio I am going to explain first lesson of the book First Flight, that is a letter to God. This story is about a farmer, Lencho, the main protagonist of this story, who writes a letter to God for seeking help from the Almighty after he discovered that his entire crop was destroyed by a devastating hailstorm. Now first introduction. This story is written by G.L. Fuentes. Before you read, they say faith can move mountains. Yes, I believe faith can move mountains. If someone has strong belief and confidence in himself or herself, they have power to face even very difficult situations in their life. But what should we put our faith in? It means whom and how to have faith in something. So this is the question this story delicately poses. Delicately means attractively. Poses here means explains. Lencho is a farmer who writes a letter to God when his crops are ruined asking for 100 pesos. Does Lencho's letter reach God? Does God send him the money? Think what your answers to these questions would be and guess how the story continues before you begin to read it. Pesos here means a monetary unit of Latin American countries. This story is set in Latin America. The story begins. The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. It means in the entire valley there is only one house. No other house can be seen in the valley, which is situated or located on the top of a low height hill. Here sat means situated and crest means top of a hill. From this height one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. Dotted here means full of. From this low height, a river and a ready-to-harvest corn field were visible. The field belonged to Lencho and he was confident to reap great profits from his harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. Downpour here means heavy rain. The only thing that he awaited was rainfall. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. Intimately here means closely. In the hope of rainfall, he spent entire money gazing at the sky in the northeast direction, from where a drizzle was expected to shower on his field. Now, we are really going to get some water. Woman, who is we here? We means Lencho and family. And what do you mean by water here? Water means rainfall. Who is woman? Woman means Lencho's wife. So Lencho is talking to his wife. That is, now we are really going to get some water, woman. The woman who was preparing supper replied, yes, God willing. The older boys were working in the field. Older boys means his elder sons, while the smaller ones were playing near the house, till the woman called to them all, "Come for dinner." Lencho confidently told his wife that they are going to get rainfall today, to which the lady replied by saying that if the god wishes. The elder sons were working in the field, and the younger ones were playing near the house, when Lencho's wife called everyone for dinner. It was during the meal that, just as Lencho predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. Approaching here means coming. The air was fresh and sweet. When they were having their dinner, big drops of rain began to fall, proving the farmer's prediction true. What was farmer's prediction? That today we are going to get water, as he told his wife. The wind was pleasant and clouds could be seen approaching from the northeast sky. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. Lencho immediately went out of the house to take pleasure and feeling of the droplets on his body. And when he returned, he cried out, he exclaimed, and when he returned, he exclaimed, "These are not raindrops falling from the sky. They are new coins. The big drops are 10-cent pieces, and the little ones are 5s." When he returned, he cried out in surprise and referred the raindrops as new coins. The large drops were equal to 10 cents and the small ones were equal to 5 cents. He said, so because these raindrops would ensure a good crop which would eventually get them a lot of money. With a satisfied expression, he regarded means considered, the field of ripe corn with its flowers, draped in a curtain of rain. Draped here means cover up or wrapped. On seeing everything went as expected, Lencho became very happy and satisfied and considered the field and flowers which were covered with droplets as if wrapped in curtain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain very large hailstones began to fall. These truly did resemble new silver coins. Unexpectedly, strong winds started blowing, leading to a hailstorm, which looked like new silver coins. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls. Here, exposing means came out. The innocent boys became playful, and they went out and in the rain to collect these hailstones which looked like frozen pearls. "It's really bad now," exclaimed the man. "I hope it passes quickly." It did not pass quickly for an hour. The hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white, as if covered with salt. Now Lencho became worried and hoped that the storm will get over quickly. But it did not. Rather, hailstorm covered the entire valley, his house, garden, hillside, and the cornfield, everything. It made everything look white, as if it was covered with salt. Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Lencho became stressed and disappointed as everything went against his plan. The trees had shed their leaves. Corns were smashed, and the flowers had also fallen down from their plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing." Plague here means large inflow of insects which destroy the crops. So plague of locust means that lot of insects even come when a plague of locust here means large inflow of insects which destroy crops. While standing in the middle of the fields, he commented sorrowfully to his sons that the effect of the storm proved worse than that of crop destroyed by insects. Now he wants to say that this hailstorm has destroyed everything, and it had proved worse than the crops destroyed by the insects. This year we will have no corn. That night was a sorrowful one. All our work for nothing. There is no one who can help us. We will all go hungry this year. That night, Lencho could not sleep well. He was very sad and helpless. All their work had gone vain. Lencho felt helpless as no corn had been left. He had a fear that they might have to starve this year. But in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary house in the middle of the valley, there was a single hope: help from God. Solitary here means lonely. Even after everything had gone wrong, the family still had hope in their hearts. They had faith in the Almighty even after nothing was left. Don't be so upset, even though this seems like a total loss. Remember, no one dies of hunger. That's what they say. No one dies of hunger. They extended support to each other and recalled a saying that was, "No one ever dies of starvation." All through the night, Lencho thought only of his one hope, the help of God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed, see everything, even what is deep in one's conscience. Conscience here means inner sense of right and wrong. For example, when we do something wrong or right, we hear a voice from our heart that you have done wrong or right. Lencho spent his entire night thinking of the only option left, and that was to seek the help of God, who has its eyes and ears everywhere. Lencho was an ox of a man. Ox of a man here means hard working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. Lencho thought of writing a letter to God to convey his grievances. Grievances means problems. Despite spending all these years working at farm, he still knew how to write. The following Sunday at daybreak, he began to write a letter, which he himself would carry to town and place in the mail. It was nothing less than a letter to God. Daybreak means in the morning when daylight first appears. Lencho started writing on the Sunday morning and thought of mailing it himself by going to the town. God, he wrote, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes because the hailstorm. He wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside, and still troubled went to town. At the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it in the mail box. Pesos here means a basic monetary unit of Mexico or other Latin countries. In his letter to God, he communicated his poverty-stricken situation and mentioned that he needed 100 pesos to regenerate the crops along with surviving until they are ready to harvest. On the top of the envelope, he wrote, to God. Then he went to the post office, placed a stamp, and dropped it in the mailbox. One of the employees, who was a postman and also helped at the post office, went to his boss, laughing heartily, and showed him the letter to God. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. A postman who was also an employee of the post office noticed Lencho's letter and showed it to the postmaster. He had never seen such kind of letter in his entire career. The postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing. Amiable here means friendly, but almost immediately he turned serious and tapping the letter on his desk, commented, "What a faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up a correspondence with the God." Correspondence here means communication by exchanging letters. The postman and the postmaster both felt amused, but the postmaster, who was a friendly man, immediately developed a sense of seriousness. He was astounded at the amount of faith Lencho had in God, and he also wished for the same. So, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea, that is, to answer the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident. Evident means clear. That to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. Goodwill means helpfulness or cooperative person. With good intention, the postmaster read the letter and thought of replying to it so as to keep the writer's belief intact. But the writer here, Lencho, expected the reply in different way that could not be fulfilled with pen, paper, and morals only. But he stuck to his resolution. Resolution means a firm decision to do or not to do something. He went to his employees and asked for money. He himself gave part of his salary, and his several friends were also obliged to give something for an act of charity. Obliged here means gratefully. When the postmaster opened the letter, he found that the farmer Lencho demanded 400 pesos. The postmaster, along with his colleagues and few friends who were also willing to donate for a good cause, collected a pool of money to help Lencho. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope, addressed it to Lencho, and with a letter containing only a single word as a signature, God. Despite his best efforts, the postmaster was not able to collect an amount which was not more than half of what was required by Lencho. He then addressed it to Lencho along with a letter having single word God as a signature. The following Sunday, following means next, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him. While the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed. Contentment here means satisfaction. Looked on from his office. Next Sunday, Lencho came little earlier to look for a reply. The postman handed him the letter, waiting to see him, joyful and surprised, while the postmaster felt satisfied looking from his office. Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money. Such was his confidence, but he became angry. When he counted the money, God could not have made a mistake. When he counted the money, God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. Rather than getting joyful, the farmer, Lencho, got disheartened on seeing that the money was less than what he asked for. His faith was still undeterred, and he believed that God cannot make such a mistake. Immediately, Lancho went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. On the public writing table, he started to write, with much wrinkling of his brow caused by the effort he had to make to express his ideas. On being disappointed, Lencho started looking for ink and paper to write a letter to God again. While writing, his eyebrows got curled. Curled means folded, due to the concentration, because he was drafting a new request letter to God. Drafting here means writing. When he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp, which he licked and then affixed to the envelope. Affixed means fixed. With a blow of his fist, the moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. On completing his letter, he affixed it with a stamp. Affixed means fixed it with a stamp. As soon as he dropped it into the mailbox, the postmaster took it out to read it. Lencho complained that he had only received 70 pesos, and he is really in need of the remaining amount, that is 30 more pesos. He doubted the integrity and honesty of the post office employees, and then he suggested that the money should not be sent via post, because he doubted that the staff at the post office must have stolen the missing amount. So, dear students, this story is a great lesson for you all, where positive faith of a poor farmer on God is surfaced. His hard work, patience, dedication, and belief in Almighty are some of the best qualities showcased in the story. This can help you apply the same things in your life with an optimistic approach. This lesson would help you change your attitude, behavior, character, and belief towards life. The power of resilience, bravery, and surrender on God are rare combination found today, because nowadays people easily give up when they confront any difficulty. That's all for this lesson. There is an activity in the beginning of this lesson, that is how to fill a money order form. So do that in your homework notebook. Thank you.